Welcome back to another episode of The Fertile Dark. And this week, we're going to talk about the popularity of psychology in the collective consciousness.
Yes.
Particularly because it seems like people are so interested in understanding themselves, making sense of their experience, and unfortunately, run into a lot of issues along the way by having psychological terms be utilized and perpetuated by people who are actually not trained in psychology.
Yes.
And don't understand the nuance.
Right.
So I'm excited to be able to jump into this episode on pop psychology.
Excellent. I think a lot of the problem is that people hear a term and they think they know what it means, and then it gets used and used and used and used and used. And so a lot of people accept that that's what it means, and that's not actually what it means at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so, there's such a big self-help industry.
Yes.
We're all very invested these days in bettering ourselves,
Yes.
bettering the world around us.
We love that.
Making sense of our experience.
Yep.
When you look at the self-help book section at the bookstore or the library, the majority of authors are actually not trained in psychology.
No.
They're often research journalists, spiritual gurus.
Yes.
Or other types of academics.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do their part, which I think is really, I think it's really great. They're trying to.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of really beneficial information. However,
Yeah.
there's also a lot of harm that's being done too.
Right. I think that it's so important to recognize that the consumption of psychology, of research, of studies, all of that can be done responsibly, even if you're not trained. Like, for example, one of my favorite books on anxiety is written by a research journalist who experiences pretty bad anxiety. And
Right.
she wrote about her experience and the research that she's done and the different gurus and spiritualists and therapists that she went to get it worked on. But ultimately, how she figured out how to manage it herself. And it's honestly one of my favorite books on anxiety, but it was done well. One of my least favorite books on attachment is written by a therapist, and I think it's actively harmful. So I don't know that it matters so much where the information is coming from, as long as it's written responsibly or explained or given responsibly and also reflective of research, reflective of compassion, curiosity, all of those things.
Yeah, agreed. So I think it can be really helpful to look at it. I'm also really curious from your perspective, even before we look at that, why do you feel like psychology and psychological terminology is so popular right now?
That's such a good question. I don't know for sure, but what I would say is there's so little we can control right now that perhaps taking control of ourselves feels like the little bit of control and influence that we have in a time where there is so little that we can do.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of really big stuff.
Yeah. I could also tell you it's because it's also the age of Aquarius, and logically speaking, that's what we're jumping into.
Sure. Well, I know we have a lot of astrology friends.
We do.
And I think we're in the year of fire horse or something.
Yeah.
Lots of shedding.
Yes.
Lots of things on fire.
Yes.
Lots of shifting, lots of moving.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. There are actually a lot of different people from different disciplines that say the same thing in different ways.
Yeah.
So there's something to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that there might be.
Right. I do like that idea, though, that by doing research on psychology, it does give us an element of control.
Mm-hmm.
That can be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also, we've talked about the way that we're able to explain ourselves. We're able to label ourselves. We're able to give language to experience, which can be a connective experience, right? If I can tell you, hey, I deal with anxiety and PTSD, and you can say, oh my God, me too, right? Then we have a shared experience. We have something in common that we can use to feel empathy for each other, to connect us, to be able to have somebody on my team when I go out into the big, scary world who understands what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. Well, especially, I feel like it can feel big and scary when we don't have language, and because we often feel really isolated in our experience.
Yeah.
can experience something like I'm always experiencing a phenomenon where I have to sit in a certain place in the restaurant where I'm keeping an eye on the door and I'm always paying attention to people's hands and I'm really aware of other people's driving patterns and
Yep.
I'm like hyper aware and it causes me a lot of stress and anxiety. When I realize there's a term that describes that thing, I can feel not alone in that.
Yeah.
I can stop feeling like, or at least maybe feel less like I'm crazy
Yes.
and I am all alone in my experience and realize, no, there are actually a lot of people that experience this phenomenon of hypervigilance.
Yep.
And then it's not uncommon at all.
Yeah. Yeah. The term that I use a lot that is, a funny therapistism is if you can name it, you can tame it. Right. Another version of that I saw a while ago is that a pattern unnoticed is reinforced. A pattern noticed is processed.
Interesting.
Okay. So if we can name these things, if we can point them out, if we can say, oh, this is a thing that's happening and has been happening and continues to happen, then maybe I can make a conscious decision to do something different and start to use that, neural pathways and the neuroplasticity to make some changes.
Right. I
Right?
love that. That language allows consciousness to come into the equation.
Yes, exactly. And I think you're right too about that connection. I mean, we talked about this when we were driving a couple of weekends ago, and I was like, usually I'm the driver. I like being in control like that. I like knowing that my hypervigilance is going to keep us safe. And you were driving that weekend. And I was like, yeah, but I know that you also have that, so I feel safe because I know you're going to be just as worried and concerned and in control and watching out for things as I would be.
Right. Yeah, it's nice when we can know that somebody understands our experience.
Yes.
We can relax a little bit.
Yes.
Feel a little bit less on edge, less on guard.
Yeah.
It allows vulnerability to be present and connection to be present.
Yep.
It's a big deal.
It is. Yeah, it absolutely is. Okay, so let's get into some of these terms that we use, that everybody
Right.
uses, that maybe are not helping us to feel connected.
Right. And I think there are definitely quite a few. Like
Yes.
We throw around a lot of terms in the collective space.
Yep,
The internet is both helpful and harmful in this way.
100%.
So what are some that come to mind for you when you think of maybe misused, misrepresented, or misunderstood
Yeah.
psychological terms?
So we've been talking about this particular topic. We knew this was coming up for 2 or 3 weeks. So I've been thinking about this for at least that long.
Sure.
And the 3 that stood out to me that I hear over and over again, and these were just, the ones that I thought were important, were trauma bonds, boundaries, and personality disorders. Those are the ones that I hear over and over again, that I hear people not fully understanding, that I think if they did understand them more fully, it would actually be more beneficial, more helpful, and more connective to the people around them if they understood these more fully.
Right. So I'm curious, like when you look at those, how would you see a better understanding being more connective in those particular areas?
Okay, so let's start with trauma bonds.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about these all the time. Oh, we've got a trauma bond. We're bonded by trauma. This is a trauma bond. And like oftentimes I'll hear people do it, kind of like they're being funny and silly, right? But in the disparaging way that they refer to a trauma bond, I think they're doing a disservice to real, genuine, healthy, important bonds between themselves and friends, family, neighbors, whatever.
Right.
Right. So what a trauma bond, like when we use it in a clinical, scientific, psychological sense, a trauma bond is between an abuser and a victim. And that is unhealthy. That is a problem. But more often than not, 99% of the time when I hear people using the term trauma bond, they're referring to a shared trauma. Right? And that does create a very special, unique, deep kind of bond, having shared trauma, whether you went through that trauma together or whether you have similar experiences of trauma. That is not a trauma bond. That is shared trauma that can bond us.
Yes, we are bonding over shared trauma.
Yeah,
I'm not bonding to you as my abuser.
exactly.
Yeah, you are not the perpetuator of my trauma.
Exactly.
Yeah. which that's a huge distinction.
It is. Yeah.
To say that we have a trauma bond suggests a nuance in the relationship that is unhealthy.
Exactly.
But we're trying to say, no, we have this really deep connection over shared hardship.
Yes, exactly. And I think so often, people are using this term trauma bond and they know it's a bad thing, quote unquote bad thing. And so they're like, oh, haha, yeah, we've got a trauma bond. And, they throw it out there, maybe somewhat flippantly and like, oh, this might be unhealthy, but like, what are we going to do about it? And so what I hear with that, whether this is true or not, is a level of shame that doesn't need to be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much unearned shame.
Yes.
And unearned guilt that is
Yes.
present in this experience.
Yes.
And it's unnecessary.
Exactly. If you have shared trauma and you've bonded by that, or because you have similar traumas and you speak a trauma language that is similar to each other that has created a bond, that's actually so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You've
really
created
is.
something lovely and helpful and, growing out of something ugly. Like I think of the blooms in the desert, right? In this harsh landscape, you've created something beautiful.
Yeah. And it can be so, so helpful.
Yeah.
I think about someone that I used to work with. We were both in the military, different times, different places. And I am not often talking about that part of my life, especially at work or with other people. I don't feel a need to talk about it often.
Right.
It comes up.
Mm-hmm.
But in this instance, it felt important. And all of a sudden, they were able to relax and talk about this really hard experience they were going through with disability and the VA and all of these
Yeah.
things they were wrestling with that had been happening for a couple of years.
Mhm.
And they finally felt like somebody really understood.
Amazing. How amazing and beautiful that you were able to find that bond, that connection, that understanding, that seeing and being seen because of shared experience that happened to be traumatic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And it helps share the load a little bit.
Yes.
Distribute some of the weight.
Yes.
Especially because when we talk about trauma, we're talking about an overwhelming experience that happened in the absence of a compassionate witness.
Yes.
And in this instance, this person is holding this experience that is so overwhelming and that
Yes.
has been packed full of shame.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's being held in the presence of someone who can witness it with compassion,
Yes.
and the healing can begin.
Oh, I love that. That compassionate was, I got goosebumps about it because yes, that is so important to have that compassionate witness to our experiences, especially our traumatic ones. That's what, in fact, I think it's Gabor Mate who says like the long-term effects of trauma aren't necessarily because of the event itself, but rather from the isolation that we experience after the event. And so if we have that compassionate witness to the traumatic event, then it just doesn't get rewired. It doesn't get wired in our brain in the same way. And even if we have that compassionate witness later, it can rewire the trauma. So it's not as harmful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if we don't understand the nature of what we're talking about, we can actually put ourselves in the wrong headspace.
Exactly. And we invite shame that we do not need.
And sometimes in the way that we utilize some of these concepts, we actually introduce shame for other people.
Yes.
For example, like we talk about personality disorder, like narcissism is one,
Yeah.
but also PTSD is one.
Yeah.
The common thing I hear is, oh, I have PTSD from that.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, oh, I have PTSD from that Fortnite game.
Mm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Or that person is such a narcissist.
Yeah.
In those moments, like it's interesting as somebody who actually has a diagnosis of PTSD
Yes.
that meets the diagnostic criteria for it,
Right.
to then hear somebody else say, oh, I have PTSD from that, and then to describe an experience that doesn't even come close to what would result
Right.
in that clinical diagnosis.
Right.
Where you feel really, at least in my experience, I start to shut down a little bit. I feel really misunderstood or misrepresented. I don't want to talk about my experience because there's a lot of simultaneous things happening.
Right.
I feel a lot of shame about my own experience. I'm like, oh, you have no clue what I've experienced. If you think this is PTSD, you have no concept of what that really is like.
Right.
Also, I don't want to correct you. Like, I don't want to put myself out there because you don't have you're showing me you don't have a capacity to hold my story.
Yeah.
And also, I'm feeling a little pissed about this too.
Yeah.
Like, you're making light of something that's real for me, and I really don't like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so real. And you're absolutely right. It happens with PTSD. It happens with personality disorders. And I think the other place it happens a lot is with suicide. Is that people use these things flippantly, you know, oh, I'm going to kill myself. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, right?
Right.
Or like, oh yeah, that person's a narcissist. Oh my God, she's so borderline, you know, whatever else that we're using to describe people in a way that is not compassionate.
Right.
And like, I'm going to tell you quite honestly, I'm the first one to admit that I have done that myself in the past and have had to re-examine the way that I talk about these things, especially after knowing and being a person who also meets diagnostic criteria for PTSD, is also a survivor of suicide loss, who has people that I love and care about who do have personality disorders, that I've had to re-examine the way that I talk about these things. And am I doing so compassionately? Am I doing so with curiosity and with understanding in a way that hopefully destigmatizes some of these things? Because if we are talking so disparagingly about these things, or even just so flippantly, then we are creating this stigma that is keeping others from talking about their experiences,
right,
from sharing the hardships that it is of dealing with a personality disorder, which again, okay, so let's get into the personality disorders. They're trauma disorders, right? In fact, I kind of wish they weren't ever even called personality disorders, because that in and of itself is so stigmatizing, when really what they are is a result of prolonged severe trauma.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I had a great conversation with somebody at work who were talking about borderline personality disorder, and she doesn't even like the term.
Yeah.
She said, oh, do you mean adult attachment trauma?
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
Which I loved that reframe. It was so great. Narcissistic personality disorder is the same.
Yeah.
In that we're saying we have a deep attachment wound that is really showing up in some big ways. Yeah. And any personality disorder, we could say the same thing with. It's not that, like, I have a really strong reaction to those types of experience in other people.
Yes.
So I have a lot of coping skills that I have to navigate, which is really about my own experiences with developmental trauma.
Yeah.
However, it can help reduce a lot of shaming that comes in.
Yes.
If I see it as an attachment wound, like narcissism, for example, is I've been made to feel so small and so worthless for so long that the idea of feeling that way is so painful that I can't even look at it.
Right.
And I have to make sure that I have to do everything in my power to receive the reassurance that I'm enough.
Right. Right. See, and this is where I think like reframing personality disorders as trauma disorders can give the person who is experiencing, who is living with the trauma, the hopefully compassion for themselves that they can seek out help. Because, I mean, I know we often think of these things as being untreatable, but they're really not. They're very treatable if the person is willing to do that work, if they're willing to hear it. But if you tell someone you've got narcissistic personality disorder, that's going to trigger all of those traits, all of that diagnostic criteria. It's going to trigger all of that and bring it up. And the way that I had to like start my reframing of these particular disorders is that they're severe abandonment issues, right? And that when that abandonment issue gets triggered, that complex, then the person will do anything. They will lie, cheat, and steal to feel as if they are not being abandoned or that it's not their fault. which when you understand what kinds of trauma leads to that, it makes so much sense, right? But if we're constantly telling, oh yeah, that person's acting crazy, they must be borderline, right? We're reducing somebody's ability to admit, I'm living with that experience.
Totally.
Right? Because of how they're going to be then labeled, stigmatized, avoided, whatever else.
And it just makes the problem worse.
Yes.
Because of the stigma that we're putting on it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a big difference in what we see with a diagnosis and traits, like symptoms.
Yes.
For example, so many people have narcissistic traits.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that they are a narcissist. That
Right.
They have narcissistic personality disorder.
Right.
Those are very different things.
Yes.
And so that's one example. With like borderline personality disorder, a lot of times we stigmatize it and we say, oh, they're just attention seeking.
Yes.
Which is so incredibly harmful.
Right.
We're devaluing.
Yep.
We're invalidating. And we're putting fuel on the fire.
Right. I did a training when I was in my internship. It was actually on, it was a training that was specifically for foster parents to help them understand children with trauma and attachment wounds and everything else. And one of the things that I took away from this, the only thing that I can definitively say came from this particular training, was reframing that particular phrase, attention seeking, to connection seeking. And that's exactly what's going on. And here's the thing with all of the personality disorders and with CPTSD also, is that one of the big markers of them is the interpersonal struggle, the struggle to feel connection to others and to feel connection from others. Right. And so if we are continuing and perpetuating this stigma associated with personality disorders, that they're difficult, that, they're crazy, that it's going to be an awful, horrible relationship, we're furthering and re-traumatizing this person over and over again by enforcing that they're difficult, that they can't do relationships, that nobody's ever going to love or appreciate or see them. And so we're furthering that trauma, which is so heartbreaking.
Right. It really feels like this embodies the struggle, like the double-edged sword that is like the TikTokification of psychology.
Yeah.
There's so much more capacity for awareness and understanding of the human experience. Like I can become so much more aware of what is it like for a person to have ADHD, autism, PTSD, OCD, like any of these acronyms that we want to use. But I can be so much more aware of people's experience.
Yeah.
Which can allow me to have so much more compassion for them.
Right.
And by extension for myself.
Yeah.
Like I can really be able to be in that space of understanding and compassion and connection. At the same time, I have just enough knowledge to be incredibly harmful.
Right.
To myself and to other people.
Yep.
And it's a really fine line to walk.
Right. Okay, so I think this is a really great segue into when somebody brings me this information, right? My partner is a narcissist, or, I'm dealing with this or whatever, and they're bringing me a label. I'm far less interested in the label than I am in the experience, right? And I think that that's where we're going to find some useful information. Yeah. If somebody is telling me like, oh, my partner is so narcissistic, I'm going to say, okay, why? Where's your proof? What is that? Like, let's throw out the DSM. It's problematic anyway. But you've got some language here to describe an experience. Let's get more specific. What does that look like for you? Where are the ruptures happening? Where is the breakdown happening? Because that's information I can use, right? The experience of whatever it is you're using this word to describe, the experience is where we can make a difference.
Yes, which is so important.
Yeah.
Because it's like the letters don't really matter that much. Like,
they really don't.
The labels themselves can actually be problematic.
Yep.
And I know it's so easy to label things.
Yep.
Label people, label experiences.
Yep.
We love our lists. 10 red flags that let you know your partner's a narcissist.
Yes.
And also, like, to just do the thing and put them in a little box of shame. It's all, I think it's all meaningfully done. Like we're trying to come from a place of understanding and safety and connection. We're trying to do that.
Right.
And also, like, that is so damaging to people.
Yeah.
When we focus on the label.
Yes.
When we focus on the experience, it's like, okay, the label got us in the ballpark.
Right.
To talk about a lived experience.
Yes. And in that lived experience is where connection can happen, right? Where we can feel empathy, where we can have that compassionate witness to what we're experiencing, right? If I'm just saying like, okay, you know, my partner is an asshole and like, I don't, you know, I'm frustrated and I want to get out of here, right? Okay, well, what's happening? What's going on there? Where's the rupture's happening, right? Let's have a conversation about, well, you know, when I said I wanted this for my birthday and then they completely forgot my birthday. Yeah, that's a painful experience, right? I can sit in that place and I have compassion for that. And then hopefully we can have language to explain to our partners, hey, when you forgot my birthday, after I had told you, you know, I wanted this really specific thing, that hurt. That made me feel like you didn't care about me.
Right.
Right? We can have that conversation. But if we're just labeling you're a narcissist, that ends conversation.
Right. We put people in a box.
Yeah.
Which nobody really likes that.
No, we don't.
Right.
So, yeah. So I think conversation, I think curiosity, and I think hopefully using these terms less flippantly and instead speaking to specific experiences rather than broad generic labels that maybe are not being used correctly anyway.
Right. Which can, you know, that takes some training. It takes a little bit of experience.
Yep. And again, I'm the first person to admit I had to do that change for myself.
Same.
Yeah.
Same, right? It's an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
It's way easier than the alternative.
Yeah. Yeah. Ideally. Okay. So to switch gears into something a little bit lighter is my frustration with people using boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Using the term boundaries. And really often what they're saying when they're saying I'm setting a boundary is, no, I'm making a rule for you. And if you don't follow my rule, then I'm going to tell you you're crossing my boundaries.
Right.
Right. Okay. So that's the difference between rules and boundaries. Rules are for other people, right? So a rule would be don't email me after 5 o'clock, you know, telling your coworkers and your boss, don't email me after 5 o'clock. That's a rule. A boundary is for me. A boundary is I don't respond to work emails after 5. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such an easy distinction.
It is a very easy distinction and very, very few people understand it.
Right. You're crossing my boundaries.
Yeah. No, you set a rule for someone and they broke the rule.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I love the idea of boundaries are for me.
Yeah.
It's my way of making sure that I am okay.
Yeah. That I'm taking care of myself, that I'm protecting my time, my energy, my resources, whatever else. But yeah, the boundaries are for me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So helpful.
Yes.
So helpful to think about. And I guess when you think about the difference between the two, when we look at the benefits of boundaries, why is it so important to remember the difference between boundaries and rules here?
Well, one, I think it comes back to like the ways that we feel closer to others and connect to others versus like pushing them away and creating, you know, space or an inability to feel connected to others. So I've also heard people say boundaries are the way that we like teach others how to treat us, which I think is pretty good too. And another one that I really love, a little one-liner about boundaries, is that boundaries are ideally the point at which I'm able to love, honor, and respect you while doing the same for me. So being able to do them at the same time. So for some people, that boundary is up close and personal. You can share your whole life with someone and live with them day in and day out and still love, honor, and respect them and have that same feeling for you. And for other people, it's much further away, right? I'm never going to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't believe in therapy, right? They deserve to be loved and celebrated, as do I, and we're not going to be able to provide that for each other, right? Simple. So I think boundaries can connect us in the way that we're teaching people with compassion. So one of my boundaries is yelling. I do not like being yelled at. I don't even go to movie theaters because they're so loud and I feel like I'm being yelled at. Very disruptive for my system. So I do not like being yelled at. So like explaining that boundary to someone or communicating that boundary to someone would look like, if they start yelling at me, I go, hey, please don't do that. That's not okay. If you continue to do this, this is how I'm going to respond. That's my boundary, right? I'm not telling you you're bad. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm not telling you you're crossing my boundary. I'm telling you this is what I can handle and this is what I don't. If you keep yelling at me, I'm going to hang up the phone. If you keep yelling at me, I'm going to go in the other room. I'm going to go get in my car, go for a walk until I calm down or we both calm down, right? So ideally, boundaries are a way that we can still love, honor, respect, and celebrate the other person. Ideally. Now, that's like in an idealized version of it. And that doesn't always happen, and that's really hard to do. But I think if we can like keep that in mind, that hopefully then we can approach these rules, boundaries, everything else with a little bit more compassion.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing is that boundaries are a way of actually enhancing connection.
Yes.
Where rules often become a way of creating disconnection.
Right. And control. Yeah.
Right. We're trying to control other people.
Exactly.
As a way to express a need for us to feel like we have control.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Which the boundary is the way that we are able to feel like we have control.
Yes.
By acknowledging that the locus of control, the place of power, is within us.
Is internal.
Yeah. It's not like you have power over yourself and I have power over myself. And I can honor your capacity and also honor my capacity.
Yes.
And I don't have to rely on you to change your expression of self as a way to protect me.
Yes. I love so much that you pointed that out because that's exactly it. If I can feel a true sense of control, not by controlling another person, but by controlling myself, then I am empowered in my relationships rather than a victim to my relationships. Right? I have control here, and that control is in how I respond. It's in how I communicate these things. It's in my ability to say, you're perfect exactly as you show up. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. I'm just going to manage my response to it and my interaction to you.
Yeah. Which, when we understand that, changes so many things.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yes.
Like when we talk about communicating boundaries, I'm not laying out laws and rules to govern your behavior. When I'm communicating boundaries, I'm using a very different communication style.
Right.
Which is a really powerful way to communicate. Right. Typically, we're using a combination of I feel statements and active listening.
And also setting those appropriate expectations, right? Yeah. If this happens, if you respond in this way, this is how I am going to respond, which also takes a level of mindfulness and mind-body connection to be able to understand, right? Hey, if you do this, I'm going to be upset for a little while about it. Like, I'll get over it. I always do, but there might come a day where I don't get over it anymore. Right? I'm not necessarily telling you you can't do that thing, or that, I don't want you to do that thing, or anything other than if this happens, I know how I'm going to respond.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a really clear expectation of how I feel.
Yep.
And what I will do to honor my experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is not a demand for you to change.
No.
It is an expression of my empowered response.
Yeah.
However you choose to show up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And ideally, again, we're able to love, honor, celebrate, respect the other person exactly as they show up. I think this is like what I see a lot with people is this struggle with, well, my partner isn't what I want them to be, right? And so it's that back and forth struggle of how can I tell them I need them to be different, or how can I help them to be different? How can I encourage them? And, it's often under the flowery, beautiful language of, I want to see growth. And, I hope they're the best version of themselves. And like, who are you to decide that? Like, they are who they are. You love all parts of them or not. Like,
Right. And it's not to say that we don't want those things for our partner.
Of course. And for ourselves.
Well, that's the part, is
Yeah.
that we also need to acknowledge that so often the thing that we're asking for from our partners is the thing that our system is demanding that we receive for ourselves.
Yes.
I want you to change in this way.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, because I feel this way.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you need this, you have this need that needs to be met,
Yeah.
and you're not meeting it either.
Yeah.
And you're relying on another person to meet it for you.
Yes.
And then when they don't, you say you cross my boundaries.
Yes.
Really, we need to just flip the whole script around and
Yep.
say, I have a need that is unmet.
Yeah.
I will communicate my unmet need to my partner,
Yes.
as well as to say, here's my plan to meet this need for myself.
Yeah.
Here are ways that I'm going to ask for you to support me.
Yeah.
Can you meet me there?
Yeah.
And then they might say, actually, I'm unable to meet you in those ways, but I could meet you in these ways.
Yes.
Would that work?
Yeah, ideally, everybody has done their work and knows those things and can have those conversations and can say, oh, I do know this about myself and about you.
Right.
I think, though, part of the problem, too, is that when we first start learning how to have these conversations and talk in this way, it is terrifying.
Right.
It is so scary. And
It
so,
is.
and if you don't have a partner who's on board, right, or somebody around you, you know, friend, family member, anything who's on board to start to learn how to have these conversations. Oh, it's so scary.
Right. We really need like real-time feedback.
Yeah.
And learning a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Which is going to require somebody who can be with you and not
Yes.
get dysregulated in the process of learning.
Yes.
And I would love to find two people who can manage that
Yeah.
just off the street
Yeah.
without actually going and doing some work with someone who is trained in this specific
Yeah.
field of study.
Yeah.
I just haven't found that yet.
This is why I will not do couples therapy unless each part of the couple is in their own therapy.
It's the same thing I say to couples too.
Yeah.
Like, listen, couples therapy is going to rock the boat.
Yeah.
It is designed to rock the boat. You got to be ready. Do you have an individual therapist?
Yes.
No, I would 10 out of 10 recommend you have one
Yeah.
and are actively attending.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had to tell clients straight out, you are not ready for couples therapy. You need to go and do some individual work before we can move forward with any kind of couples work.
Right.
Yeah. It's rough.
Right. It is. And there's no judgment around like people's capacity to do this.
No, of course not.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of
Yeah.
what is so often present. I
Yeah.
would say this is what I see more often than not.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I will see a couple that has a pretty developed capacity
Yeah.
to do these kinds of things.
Yes. I have had a handful of those in my career. And when they do, the magic that happens is amazing.
Mhm.
It is such a delight to see that.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, this isn't something that you can just get from a TikTok video or a book.
No.
Because what we're talking about here is we're saying there's two people who are really invested
Yeah.
and are requiring a third party
Yeah.
to be able to hold that space, to be the compassionate witness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That gives them real-time feedback, that can hold without judgment,
Yeah.
with unconditional positive regard.
Yeah.
That really is something that you just can't get
Yeah.
from YouTube or TikTok.
Yeah. And not every therapist is prepared to be able to do that for couples.
Also true.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some therapists I know who are brilliant at couples work, like honestly, magical, brilliant human beings. And there are some, and I will admit, I am more in the latter one that just can't, that it's just so hard to do.
Right.
To hold that space and to be able to help these people, to be able to get them to understand that connection, to feel that experience, and then take it home to be able to implement it outside of the therapeutic space too.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think really speaks to the challenge that we run into here. Like, we're talking about people trying to find language to describe and change and improve their
Yeah.
lived experience.
Yeah.
And we're talking about people who have been trained to do this particular kind of work and find it to be difficult.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense to me that A, people would be looking for it, and B, it would be really hard for people
Yeah.
to really get a handle and do it at the level that they're hoping to be able to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Like we talk about the DSM. I mean, how many pages in the DSM? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
But it's like
900.
Right. It's like a 3-inch thick book.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And dense. Like it's not
Yeah.
like this is double spaced and like an 18 font.
Mm-hmm.
This is like dense.
Right. And even then, I would say the DSM is as much of an art form
Yeah.
as it is a science.
Well, and an art form, and like if you do any of the research into like who's writing the DSM and how many conflicts of interest that there are with pharma, with all of the things, the DSM is not the place you want to go to understand yourself. The DSM is what you go to get insurance to pay for treatment.
Exactly.
And that is it. It is not a place to go to understand yourself.
No, it's really not.
Yeah.
It is a set of descriptive words that go with a diagnostic code
Yes.
that is required for insurance to pay for therapy.
Exactly.
It does give some helpful descriptions of experience
Yeah.
to say like, oh, it sounds like this and this and this.
Yeah.
Just to keep in mind, like some good guidelines in there. Like,
Yeah.
hey, make sure that you're not conflating these two things with each other.
Sure. Well, and this is what I tell like new clinicians in teaching them, diagnosing and how to do it, is that really ultimately a diagnosis is only as helpful as the help you can receive because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which for some of those diagnoses, you can get a lot of help, right? If with ADHD, for example, and autism, especially in younger people, there are a lot of supports with school, with work, whatever else, that if you have an official diagnosis, you can get help.
Right.
Right. For some of the more stigmatizing diagnoses, particularly personality disorders, there's not a lot of social supports in place for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If having that label can help you to get better, more qualified, more specific care, then yes, a diagnosis is absolutely going to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not going to give you that though, like go with the least stigmatizing you can just to get, let's get it covered.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because we're really trying to not box people in and
Right.
label.
Right.
We're trying to help people have useful language to find a way to empower themselves
Yes.
and receive the help they need.
Yes. And language is so important. Language is how we connect to others.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think this is really where people come from
Yeah.
when they're looking stuff up.
Yeah.
They're saying, I'm trying to figure out why is it my partner and I are having such a hard time communicating with each other?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel so stressed all the time? I'm so worried about where the world is going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how do I make sense of this?
Right.
And there is something to be said for some bibliotherapy.
Yes. Yes. It's a thing. It has a name for a reason.
Exactly. And also, it's going to be paired with something else.
Right. Right. Well, and we've talked about this with other things too, right? With spirituality, with psychedelics, with, whatever. Are we using these things to bypass the deeper work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we using it as a tool on our journey?
Right.
Yeah.
Which I love that, reminder. One of the things that I find I often talk about with people who come in and they say, oh, I'm really struggling with anxiety or depression.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And then we talk about their lived experience.
Yes.
And then we typically have some version of a conversation that goes like, anxiety and depression sometimes can exist on their own in a person's system.
Mm-hmm.
Often, as is what seems to be the case here,
Yeah.
anxiety and depression are actually symptoms of something else.
Right.
It can be symptoms of often trauma,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or neurodivergence,
Mm-hmm.
which on its own actually shows up as a symptom of trauma or as essentially comorbidity with trauma.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Because of neurodivergence, I experienced a lot of developmental experiences that are traumatic.
Yep.
By being told, essentially, I get the hiccup treatment.
Yep.
Stop being you, be not you.
Yes.
which that amount of shame for the amount of years we're going to get it,
Honestly,
that is not going to leave our system without help.
just growing up neurodivergent is its own trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is subtle, but it is constant. It is complex trauma.
Exactly. And so a lot of times when we're doing this on our own, we're saying like, I feel anxious, I feel depressed,
Mm-hmm.
and I go online and I do my research. That can be really helpful.
Yeah.
I can get some great strategies, some awareness, some language,
Yeah.
and also the complexity of my experience will be very difficult to represent in that way.
Yes.
It's really two-dimensional, and I need someone who can help me see the whole picture.
Right. I genuinely love it when a client, this actually hasn't happened in a while. I don't know if it's just not as popular anymore, but I love it when a client comes in and is like, well, TikTok told me I have ADHD. I'm like, freaking awesome. Okay, what is it that speaks to you about that? Give me some information, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did TikTok tell you that? What is your experience of it? Hey, you might actually have ADHD. I don't know. TikTok is a pretty good diagnostic tool. At least it seemed to be for a minute there, right? But like I'm never going to approach a client as an expert, because while I might have a little bit more education in the area of human behavior, they have a lived experience that my 1 hour lecture on ADHD is never ever going to encompass.
Right.
Right? Or that my 1 hour lecture on a personality disorder is never going to fully encapsulate. And so that lived experience, and if they've gone to Google or TikTok or even a language learning tool to tell them something, I'm interested in that information. What have you learned? How do you see that reflected in yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Right. And even if ADHD isn't present,
Mm-hmm.
maybe there are symptoms. I'm even reluctant to use the word symptoms. Maybe there are aspects of experience
Yes.
that align with that, like that realm of
Yeah.
experience that we now just have language for,
Yeah.
which is so empowering.
Yes. And
Like-
exactly.
To be able to say, like, I have a really weird relationship with time. I read a thing that says what I experienced is called time blindness.
Yeah.
Then I can be like, hey, and then go to my friends, hey, listen, do you feel like I have a thing like where I don't experience time the way that other people experience it? Like I have some time blindness?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, dude.
Oh, you didn't know this about yourself?
Let me tell you what this is like. You say this is going to take me a couple minutes.
Yeah.
It didn't take you 2 minutes. It took you 4 hours.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's so real.
And it's like, oh, that's what time blindness is.
Yep.
Well, cool. Maybe I don't need Adderall, but maybe I can also say like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
I'm going to use the phrase a couple minutes. What that means is it's going to take me longer than the amount of time it'll take to finish this conversation.
Yes. Well, and this is what I said about neurodivergence is that like medication, treatment, all of those things can help. The thing that's going to help more than anything else though is just mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Just being aware of it, which language does give that us that a possibility. Oh, I have time blindness. I know I'm going to think this takes me 5 minutes, but no, this actually takes me 45 minutes. And
Right.
I'm not going to be able to accomplish this in that short amount of time, right?
So
if I can just
true.
have that self-awareness, that mindfulness,
Mm-hmm.
that goes so far in being able to manage the difficulties in relationships, in expectations, and whatever else.
So true.
Yeah.
Right. And it can be so helpful, like in any aspect, right? Where I can say, hey, listen, when you ask me, can I talk to you about something?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have this reaction inside. I'm going to get so stressed out,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And now I can negotiate a little bit.
Right.
And just say, listen, can you just let me know if you want to talk to me about a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give it to me a little more concrete?
Right.
Hey, can I process something that I've been thinking about with you?
Yes.
Hey, can you, like, I noticed something in a way that you talked to this person or in the way that you showed up today.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay if I just share my observation with you as a way to help you see yourself more clearly?
Yes.
So helpful.
Right. And so few people do that or can do that or
Right.
understand how to do that.
Which it's like when I go online and I look up what is it like to have anxiety, I can learn things like that and it can be so helpful.
Right.
And then I can have richer relationships with other people.
Because I can ask for the things that I need.
Exactly.
Yes. Because I can tell somebody about myself and give them context and understanding for how I show up.
Right. And I feel like this is really the essence of like when we look at pop psychology, like this is how to use it like really well.
Yes.
Is to be able to say, how can I enhance my capacity for connection, compassion, and curiosity?
Yes. This, I like honestly don't have a problem with pop psychology because it opens up so many opportunities to talk about my special interest, which is psychology, right? It's in exactly as you said, approaching things with compassion, with curiosity, being able to approach experiences, people's actual lived human experiences with that curiosity, with compassion. And yes, using those pop psychology terms, but using them with intention, using them deliberately and doing the work to understand them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So that I stop calling my perfectionism OCD.
Exactly.
Those are very different things.
Yes, they are.
And also so that I can avoid perpetuating shameful experiences for other people.
Yes. So that we can avoid stigmatizing lived experiences. We can avoid stigmatizing trauma and pain.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great diagnostic tool, like quote unquote.
Okay.
For how are we utilizing the resources we're finding? Like, what's the intention behind it? Am I using this as a way to be like express judgment or criticism? Am I using this as a way to shame or guilt somebody? If I am, that's really not helpful.
I have been stuck on this thought about vulnerability and abuse for a while. And I think that if we approach, again, with the idea of compassion, curiosity, all of that, but also recognizing that a lot of these people who are experiencing these things that we maybe sometimes label flippantly, that they are a vulnerable person and that they have experienced vulnerability and trauma that makes them even more vulnerable now. If we can remember that and not exploit that vulnerability, then we can stop those cycles of abuse that they have experienced and that we have also experienced, right? Because that compassion, that curiosity that we give to other people, we also give to ourselves when we stop stigmatizing vulnerability.
Right. Which is such a beautiful way to see that. I love that.
Yeah.
So much.
Thanks. It came to me in a dream.
Did it?
It really did. Yep.
It's almost like dreams hold magic and wisdom.
It is. My unconscious is much smarter than my conscious is.
Yes. Yes. Can I share a hot take with you?
I would love if you shared a hot take with me.
AI is not a good substitute for a therapist.
Goodness gracious, it really isn't. I saw a study on AI that they were, actually studying it and how it reacted to people who were going to it for therapy and how many ethical violations AI committed. Is bad. AI is not, it is a tool like anything else, right? And if you bring me something that AI told you in the conversation you had with it, I'm actually really going to be like, great, I'm going to approach it with curiosity. I'm going to want to know what happened. I want to know what you got from it, what it spoke to you, what didn't speak to you. It's a tool like anything else, but it is not a replacement for real human connection that you get in therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I love that, right? AI is a tool. If you choose to engage with AI, think about it as like an administrative assistant that can collate data for you, that should be taken with the same way that you would approach like someone handing you a rough draft of a paper.
Yeah.
Be really meticulous in fact checking everything you get.
Yeah.
And never ask it for therapeutic advice.
Yeah. If you can approach AI as a alien being that doesn't fully understand our culture, but will pull pop psychology and repeat some things back to you, but doesn't understand context and can't really interpret data, sure, it could be helpful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Always take it with a grain of salt, but it can be really helpful.
Yes.
Hey, here are some things that I experience. Can you please give me some recommended resources that I can go to further understand?
Yeah.
Could you give me examples of what I could talk to my therapist about?
Yeah.
Based on these things.
Yeah.
Like put me in the ballpark of some things that this could be.
Yeah.
That's a great way.
Yeah. Help me organize my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But if you were to say, hey, I had this dream where I'm trying to think of like a dream that I had that was a little strange. That is also maybe not too strange.
Put some of myself out there, but not all of myself. Yep.
Like, okay. Oh, here's one that I had. This was years ago. I had a dream where I was in a Walmart parking lot and there were two like Middle Eastern men, and one of them was maybe like a little heavier set, and we got into a gunfight in the parking lot.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Feels like Back to the Future.
Right. It was like in the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even know if anybody died, but we definitely shot each other.
Okay. Yeah.
I might go into AI like, hey, chat GPT, like, what are some examples of this? Just take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It could give you some like ideas, but like actual dream work from a clinical perspective is going to be way different.
Yeah. Well, and like we talked about consuming research, right? If you're consuming it responsibly, it can absolutely be helpful, right? My favorite book on anxiety, written by a journalist. My least favorite book on attachment, written by a therapist.
Yeah.
Right? It matters how you consume this media. And ChatGPT or any of the language learning models, AI, any of them are the same way. Understand what it is that you're using, how it's been used in the past, where it has, where it's fallible, where it thrives. Right? If you're consuming that responsibly, you understand all of that. You've done that research. There are some times that these language learning models have been actively harmful and they've had to be rewritten and those algorithms have had to change, and they're still can be very harmful if not consumed responsibly.
Yep.
So yeah.
So just keep it in mind.
Yeah.
Salt.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So there was one more thing that you had mentioned in the pop psychology sphere, and that was attachment.
Oh, yes. Actually, anxious attachment is a pretty popular Google search.
Yeah.
It turns out.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of things that gurus will say about attachment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be really helpful to understand attachment style.
Mm-hmm. Well, and where it originated, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is originally in like, is it Bowlby who like, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. My psychology theorist is great, but it's okay. It's not great.
Right.
But it started with the way that children would respond when their mothers left the room and when they came back, and how they would respond, whether they would seek out the mother, whether they would ignore the mother. And then the theory then is like anxious attached, avoidant attached, mixed attachment, or secure attachment. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now what we're seeing is adults taking that, where really this started with very, very young children, toddlers. Mm-hmm. And now adults saying, okay, I'm seeing these patterns in myself and partners and relationships, whatever else, that maybe align with some of these attachment patterns.
Right. And it can be so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If I know that I show up in a relationship in a very anxious way,
Mm-hmm.
or in a very avoidant way, what does that actually mean?
Yes.
Right. It's all about safety
Mm-hmm.
in relationship.
Yeah.
Is really what it comes down to. Often, I think when we look at it from a pop psychology lens, we're using it as a way to describe our partner.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you so blank?
Yep.
That can be pretty harmful if we aren't careful.
Mm-hmm.
And also, often it's not super cut and dry.
Right.
Like we say, oh, I have an anxious attachment style. I have an avoidant attachment style.
Right.
Okay, what do you mean by that, first of all?
Right.
And is it actually something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I say, oh, I have an anxious attachment style, is that accurate? Or am I experiencing maybe some enmeshment and or codependence,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that the only way for me to feel okay is to know that you're okay?
Mm-hmm.
That is maybe a little something different.
Right. right? Or, I mean, is there even maybe some dysfunction in the relationship that is causing these behaviors that look like what I've been told anxious attachment is or avoidant attachment is, right? And it comes back to, I feel like it's always going to come back to, what is that experience like? You have this label, you have this language to describe a thing, but give me specific examples. What does this look like for you? What does this look like in your relationships? What does this look like with your partner? What does it look like with your parents? What does it look like with your friends, with your coworkers, right? Where are we seeing a breakdown? Where are we seeing a rupture? And what can we change to make that better for you?
Exactly. And it can give us some really great language to have a conversation, which I think is really where the attachment style thing comes into play.
Right.
Like, I think about my experience with my own partner, where I would say, on balance, I experience much more traits that people would associate with anxious attachment. I have a deep-seated fear of rejection. And so I do look for reassurance. Right? Okay. Is it really okay for me to do this? You promise that you're not going to hate me and leave me if I go and do this thing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, great. Or my partner tends to be more on the avoidant side.
Yeah.
Like, they experience more of those types of traits, which is like, listen, I don't want you to, call out my needs for me.
Yeah.
I don't want you to try and meet my needs for me. I would like to be supported in meeting my own needs and on my own terms.
Yeah.
Both of those are from attachment wounds that we experienced.
Yes.
And it gives us, just in researching it and learning about it, it gave us language to be able to initiate the conversation.
Yes.
That's really where I feel like when we look at attachment style from the pop psychology lens, it's a starting point. It's the trailhead.
Yes, exactly.
Of hey, I noticed these things. They seem to resonate with my experience.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you see that? Does that seem accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you? It seemed like you have this experience. Does that seem accurate to you? No, that doesn't seem accurate. Okay, that's good to know. Help me understand your experience. Oh, it actually mirrors mine. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
What is that like for you? Here's what it's like for me. How do we help each other here?
Right. Right. Again, it's approaching it with that compassion, that curiosity. What's that lived experience? What does this look like for you? What does it feel like for you? Right. And what are people around you saying about it? All of those different things. It gives us information, data. That's useful. That's helpful.
Yes, exactly. And I think one of the things that's just coming to mind for me as we've been talking about this is pop psychology on its own, like the TikTokification of psychology, where we're looking at psychological concepts to view it through this lens of, I'm finding the trailhead for a further conversation that is rooted in compassion and curiosity. That's the magic.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I love the way you put that, the trailhead to more conversation. Yeah, because that's perfect.
Yeah. You really can never get 100% accurate read on your lived experience simply from taking what's your archetype quiz.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's rooted in a misunderstanding of what archetypes are.
Yes.
That's my own soapbox that I'm not going to step on right now.
Okay.
And also, it can be very fun, and it's really a starting point.
Yeah.
Okay, great. It's the same thing with a Myers-Briggs personality type quiz.
Yeah.
It's going to get you in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Once you're in the ballpark, that's when the work starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't need to go see a therapist for that work.
Right.
But continue the journey. Don't stop with whatever you get right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's data. And it's reminding me too that I'm hearing a lot more of that I hadn't heard a lot of in a while, but love languages. And what I'm hearing nowadays is love languages aren't a legitimate psychological thing. It was a Christian counselor who did premarital counseling and not real counseling. And so there's been a lot of itemizing love languages, which to me, it's a tool. It's a tool like anything else. If somebody comes to me and tells me my love language is acts of service, I'm going to be like, great, tell me more about that. right? If somebody comes to me and tells me I'm an Aries, I'm going to go, "Ooh, all right, tell me more about that." Right? What's your experience of being an Aries? Somebody comes to me and tells me I'm an ENTJ on Myers-Briggs. Awesome. Tell me what your experience is of that, right? It's data. It's information that is being given to me that I can explore. It's the beginning of the trailhead. Such a perfect way of putting it.
Right. Really. And it really does feel like that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
Is we're starting the dialogue with ourselves and other people to experience insight and connection and compassion for each other, like for ourselves and for the other.
Yes. That's so perfect. That question, is this conversation, is this information bringing us closer together?
Yeah.
Is it helping us to understand each other better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would love to be able to see people engaging with whatever their like inner work resources are from this is the starting point.
Yes.
To understand myself.
Yeah.
Right. And also to figure out like what's the next layer of understanding.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like we talk about Myers-Briggs. I actually used that in one of my previous jobs.
Yeah.
I was getting so dysregulated at work, like so dysregulated at work. I was leaving really frustrated and like sometimes really angry.
Yeah.
Just all the time about one of my coworkers. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what is it about this person?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, let me take a step back.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to just do a Myers-Briggs. Like, let me see if I can figure out a ballpark of what I see in the way they show up most often.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It seems like they're like an ESTJ.
Okay.
Okay. Which people may not understand Myers-Briggs. They're an extrovert, meaning they get energy from other people rather than being by themselves. They're a sensor, meaning they're really focused on like the physical senses and like the tangibleness of being grounded in the world rather than ideas.
Yeah.
They prioritize thinking and there's a way in interpreting data over feeling. And they really love to make decisions rather than collect more data.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah. It's like opposite.
It is almost like, well, and the key here is like the sensor judger, the SJ combo.
Yep.
Where I am an intuitive perceiver in the way that I typically show up, meaning I'm much more interested in ideas and big picture things and like the details don't matter as much. And I will delay a decision to get more data. I'll wait until the last minute if I have to.
Yeah.
Now that I don't have decision making skills, I can do it.
Yeah. You just prefer.
Right. It's a preference.
Yeah.
The SJ experience for me in another person, that type of personality is in the Myers-Briggs world I struggle with the most.
Yeah.
I will get dysregulated faster. We will disagree more often. I will typically find myself getting really judgmental and really critical more quickly.
Yep.
Obviously, I've done a lot of growing over time, so it's less likely to happen.
Yep.
But at the time, in my 20s,
yeah.
There's a lot of spice in there.
Yeah, I had the same experience when I was first introduced to Myers-Briggs and helped me realize, oh, my husband isn't an asshole. He's just an ENTJ.
Right.
And I'm an ENFP, and we're very, very different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, by doing that, it got me in the ballpark where I could take a step back and say, what am I noticing about them?
Yeah.
What am I noticing about me?
Yes.
How can I show up to work differently?
Yeah. Again, it's a tool. If this tool helps you to understand yourself and others better, if it brings connection, right? If it brings compassion and curiosity and all of those things, then it is a useful tool.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I know, in this relationship, if I want to decrease stress for both of us, if I, instead of taking this task that's kind of mundane and feels a little grindy to me, that I really dislike, if I front load that, they will be happier and less inclined to hover.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Less inclined to micromanage.
Yes.
And which will make me so much happier.
Yeah.
Okay. I could do that.
Yeah.
It may not be my preference.
Yeah.
But what do I prioritize more is feeling like I have some freedom and space to breathe. And honestly, like I just prefer to do this kind of work But the only way for me to get this kind of work done is if I front load this other kind of work that I like to do less.
Yeah. Good job understanding yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
But it really started with we really disagree
Right.
all the time.
Right.
I'm so upset all the time and I don't know why.
Right. And approaching it with curiosity instead of judgment.
Exactly.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Right. And then, once you start down that road, then you say, yeah, but what is it about why am I actually so frustrated?
Yeah.
Oh, let me just notice this part of me that feels this way.
Yep.
And you just keep pushing on it. Not intentionally, not maliciously. It's just happening.
Right.
Okay. Now I can get to be curious about myself here.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. Well, that curiosity extended outwards is going to come back to extend inwards. Yep.
But, this is really, I think, where the magic of the pop psychology comes in, right? Is to say, I'm having a hard time in a way. What's the start?
Right. Somebody said something on somewhere that pinged something in me.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the beginning. That's not the answer. That's the question.
Yes.
Yeah. If something has pinged in you that says something about yourself or someone else, that ping is the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And again, I love that you said the magic of pop psychology because there is a magic there. If you can use it, it's the beginning. So if you've heard a term and you go, hey, this term, I don't know, it keeps sitting in my brain and it keeps coming up and I keep thinking about it in these situations and I keep wanting to use it to label this. Beautiful. That is data.
Mm-hmm.
That is the beginning.
Yeah. Yes. And that can lead to some beautiful transformation.
Amazing, magical transformation. Yeah. Certainly don't throw the psychology out with the pop.
Right. Right. Because it's like we're all yearning for a deeper understanding of ourselves. We're yearning for healing and wholeness and connection. We're yearning for meaning and purposeful living.
And a bit of control.
Right.
Yes.
Especially in a world that feels out of control.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it can feel like, where else can you go? Not everybody can afford to go to a therapist.
Yep.
And the insurance companies are definitely not as helpful as we want them to be. And
Absolutely.
not all therapists are created equal.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes the whole process can be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's so much easier sometimes to just sit down and type into YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or Google, what's up with me?
Yeah. Yep. Just don't let that be the answer.
Right.
Yep. That's the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That's the journey.
Yes. I love it. Here's my ode to pop psychology.
Okay.
It's the poem Love Dogs by Rumi.
I'm here for it.
So this is a really interesting one. Took me a long time to actually make some sense of it.
Okay.
One night, a man was crying, Allah, Allah. His lips grew sweet with praising until a cynic said, so, I've heard you calling out, but have you ever gotten any response? The man had no answer to that. He quit praying and fell into a confused sleep. He dreamed he saw Kadir, the guide of souls, in a thick green foliage. Why did you stop praising? Because I've never heard anything back. This longing you express is the return message. The grief you cry out from draws you toward union. Your pure sadness that wants help is the secret cup. Listen to the moan of a dog for its master. That whining is the connection. There are love dogs no one knows the names of. Give your life to be one of them.
Okay.
I just really love this, right? The grief you cry out from draws you toward union.
Yeah.
Your pure sadness that wants help is the secret cup.
Yeah.
When we look at the wide universe of information we can access to, we can realize, like, if we can really acknowledge that the yearning we feel inside is the pathway to the answer we seek,
Yeah.
that it is actually bringing us towards wholeness and purpose and meaning and connection,
Yeah.
that is when we know we're in the right place.
For me, what I heard was that in the act of calling out for something, we learn something about ourselves, right? That calling out was less about the God that he was seeking and more about that connection within himself that he yearned for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To be able to connect to the yearning.
Yeah.
To connect to the place of beautiful grief.
Right.
And wanting.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So really, in doing some research on our own and looking what's available to us, we're actually allowing ourselves to be more connected to ourselves,
Yeah.
which is actually the first step in healing ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. First step on those journeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
How does he end it? Give your life to be one of them.
Beautiful.
To be the one that seeks for connection to yourself and others.
Yeah.
Rather than judgment and condemnation and othering.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what it's about.
I'm here for it.
Right? Like psychology is really, in some ways, the study of caring for the soul.
Yeah. I can get on board with that.
Yeah. And so if we're going to use the wide array of available resources on the internet,
whatever they are, popular or not,
are we approaching that from a place that enables us to have greater care for ourselves and others?
Yes. Yep. I think that's the question. Yeah. Are we caring more for ourselves and others? Are we honoring the vulnerability that we all experience?
Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Fertile Dark. We hope that you found some meaning in our conversation on pop psychology, the pros, cons, the beauties, the realities, the hardships. And we would love to hear from you about your experience, the things that you've learned that have been most impactful to you, the things that you wish you understood better, the challenges in being able to explain your experience, and most of all, how pop psychology has helped you to feel more connected to yourself and other people. So please reach out to us with those. Make sure that if you got something from this episode, you share it with somebody else. Feel free to leave us a review so we know what you like and if there are things you want differently.
Or if you disagree with us, if we got it wrong.
Love to hear that too.
Tell us that too.
Yes. So, as always, keep delving deep, embracing the journey.